Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hey, Joe on Joe listeners, it's me, Joe Slepsky, and I'm back and you're back. This is the quarantine re-releases of our original tracks going back 4 years, and I hope you're enjoying these as much as I'm enjoying reliving them, warts and all. I think you can easily hear where I'm finding myself and finding what the show turned out to be, so I'm really happy to share these with you guys. Again, we pulled these back from behind the Patreon wall, and I wanted to make them available to everybody during this time to share and give and listen and have fun, especially because G.I. Joe's back on YouTube now. So, yeah, so I appreciate that. And you guys can always follow me at Joe on Joe Pod on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Let me know what you think of some of these early episodes, how terrible they are, or how funny they are, or how awful they are. And we're starting recording back up again, so reach out to me. Let me know, joeandjoepod@gmail.com. Let me know if you want to join me for an episode. I believe we're going to jump into G.I. Joe Extreme very, very soon. So without any further ado, here is the OG track from Joe on Joe 4 years ago. Enjoy.
You are listening to the Joe on Joe podcast, the only podcast where Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
So before we get into the show, I want to take a minute to go over that theory I had from last time, because after I recorded the episode, I thought more about it, and it makes so much sense. The meteorite that they pulled out of the lava has to be from Cybertron. The mass device, it shifts mass and it teleports things. What do Transformers do? They shift their mass. They go from the size of a Luger handgun to a giant towering robot in the case of Megatron. They have teleportation with the space bridge. I am 100% convinced that, I don't think they meant to do it, but I'm saying, in the fictional world, that meteorite absolutely came from Cybertron. This was the first top secret G.I. Joe Transformers crossover, and no one has ever pointed it out before. Ever. I'm going to keep saying ever because I have not Googled it, and I don't want to find out somewhere that this was a theory that already existed. But I'm telling you right now, that meteorite came from Cybertron. I love it. Well, now on to the show. Welcome back to Joe on Joe. I am your host, Joe Slepsky. And boy, do we have a doozy for you today. The final chapter in the Mass Device saga. The very first 5 episodes of G.I. Joe that the world ever saw. The final episode called A Stake in the Serpent's Heart. So exciting. Cannot wait to get into it. Today's character spotlight, we're going to be talking about Scarlett. And you can remember to find me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram at Joe on Joe Pod. And you can send me an email, joeonjoepod@gmail.com. Let's get into the action. So exciting. Here we go. So this is the 5th part of the biggest G.I. Joe adventure that anyone had ever seen, because it was the only G.I. Joe adventure that anyone had ever seen, of course. And boy, is it awesome. So just to recap everybody and where we've been at so far. Cobra stole a satellite that allowed them to use something called the Mass Device, which is a giant teleportation laser. And with this, they could teleport their troops anywhere they want. They can teleport buildings. They could do anything they want with it. In order to use the device, they needed 3 separate elements. They needed some radioactive crystals, which they got from the Arctic. They needed some heavy water, which they got from deep, deep, deep under in the ocean. And they needed a radioactive meteorite, which we're going to talk about a little bit later today after the revealing theory from last episode. And in each of the episodes prior to this, they raced G.I. Joe against the clock to try to capture enough of those elements in order to power their various devices, because G.I. Joe had a device too. So now G.I. Joe finally got the drop on Cobra at their helicarrier flying base, and unfortunately Destro captured Scarlett. So we start off this episode with Destro and Scarlett in an airplane, some kind of rocket, plummeting to Earth because Scarlett is able to fire off one of her crossbow bolts and knock the controllers out. So now we've got Destro and Scarlett plummeting to their death, and without Scarlett's quick thinking, they would die. So this kind of gives you some really great character work with Scarlett, and showing that she's a super capable Joe, super capable soldier, calls them hammer hands. It's so great. Which is why we chose to focus on Scarlett today. So Scarlett is the counterintelligence officer for the G.I. Joe team. Her file name, her real name, is Shana M. O'Hara. It's actually Shana M. O'Hara. Shana would be two N's, I guess. So it's Shana M. O'Hara. Now, her primary specialty is intelligence, and her secondary military specialty is classified. Why would you need to classify what someone's specialty is? I don't know the answer to that. Because you're not like they're saying this is her special secret. She's got a classified specialty. And you know what? Maybe she's a ninja, because she certainly hangs out with ninjas plenty, as we see as her life goes on. But I think that's pretty odd. She's from Atlanta, Georgia, which you would never be able to tell by her voice on the show. She does not have any type of Atlanta, Georgia. I know some people from Atlanta, and there is no Atlanta, Georgia accent on her. However, I'll forgive her because she's awesome. Now, Destro gets back to their base. Of course, they didn't die. And here we go. Real quick, let's go back to what Destro called her, a tiresome tigress. That's amazing. And now is the moment when Destro, after all these episodes of being kind of the lackey secondhand guy to Cobra Commander, he mans up in such a big way. Man, he threw Cobra Commander with one arm across the room, walks over there, and just puts the verbal beatdown on this chrome-headed buffoon. Well, they're both kind of chrome-headed. I guess would make sense for him calling that. Oh, Cobra Commander throws his metal or gold, I'm assuming, snake staff at Destro, hitting him, clunking him in the head. And here we go. Destro is about to show him what is. He takes that cane and just crushes it in one hand like a Bond villain and says, "I'm the captain now, Cobra Commander. I'm the captain now." So good. Like, this episode is Destro's coming out party and Scarlett's coming out party is what this episode is. It's so good. All right. Now, Scarlett, she's getting thrown into prison. We're going to see that she's going to meet the girl, the Planet of the Apes slave girl-ish that Duke had met in the previous episode. And let's check out Scarlett's history. So Scarlett's father and three brothers were martial arts instructors. She began her training at age 9, and she was awarded her first black belt at age 15. As she graduated advanced infantry training from the Ranger School with a special education in covert ops. She was a Marine sniper, Special Air Service School, Marine Taekwondo Symposium. She's a qualified expert in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 types of rifles and machine guns, and most importantly, the XK1 power crossbow. Throwing stars, Garrote and K-Bar. K-Bar, I used to know what that is. I think it's some kind of ninja weapon or something. And the quote that they have for her is, "Scarlett is confident and resilient. It is remarkable that a person so deadly can still retain a sense of humor," which she totally does. Scarlett's so lovable. But real quick, back to the show. We just had Duke's worst nightmare. We just had both of Duke's ladies. This is the moment when your wife shows up to work to pick up your paycheck, and your girlfriend who's working the front desk is like, "Oh, hi, yeah, hi, I'm Anna." That was awesome. But again, credit to Scarlett. She kind of knows what's up this whole episode, and she's like, "Whatever, man. We're all adults here. We like to get our Joe freak on. I get it." Apparently, everyone gets to use the Atari controllers. You have a couple of Cobra Stooges just Atari controlling General Flag, making him march in circles, which is funny in and of itself, but like everybody gets Atari controllers. we have a bunch of world leaders that apparently Cobra's kidnapped, and Valenkov looks like somebody, and I can't think of it right now. Something from the comics. He looks like, I'm not going to say Kingpin, but he looks like somebody, but it's great. And Destro's in charge and taking care of business. So one of the reasons we love Scarlett, obviously because she's, strong, independent, blah, 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 her whole thing is that she just one of the most loyal, just so loyal, and such a member of that Ninja Boys Club, and she completely holds her own. I don't know what kind of contests or tests you have to take to be a ninja. I always thought you had to be thrown into water as a baby to be a ninja. But whatever it is, Scarlett absolutely is, she holds her own against anybody. She's got a great outfit. Now, her outfit looks just like a character from Peter David's, Jim Starlin's book. Peter David worked on it later. Dreadstar. I should have done a little research before this, but there's a character in Dreadstar that absolutely wears Scarlett's colors, and I need someone to tell me chicken or the egg, because somebody ripped somebody off, and I want answers. All right, so we're going back. Scarlett and the slave girl. I keep calling her Planet of the Apes girl, but that's not her name, obviously. They just came down and found Dothraki, Jason Momoa. And they're telling him basically to get everyone ready. Now, what's really funny is all the other slaves look like just regular schlubs. Later on, you'll see there's some close-ups of them. A lot of them have 70s porno stashes, which is great. But they're all just kind of like schlubs in tattered clothing. And then you have Jason Momoa looking all Dothraki, and it's just funny and odd and just out of it. So it's a pretty quick shift, but it's kind of subtle, and it builds by the time you get to the end of the episode of Destro just taking care of business and I'm taking over Cobra. I don't care what you say. This is what's going to happen. It's so great. So now we get to one of the all-time great moves, which is shooting one laser beam or one energy blast or one bit of heat vision directly at another bit of energy or heat vision. And it's so crazy. And also, we're going to go to a break, and we're going to see the results of this craziness when we get back. Cobra needs to bounce it off of a satellite. But yeah, G.I. Joe can just fire it away. Maybe it's because they're on the other side of the world. I don't know. But either way, they totally nail it. They're the best. They absolutely nail it. And it results in a giant aurora borealis over New York. Okay. Cobra Commander just said they must have a mass device. Of course they have a mass device. They've been fighting you for the elements for the last 3 episodes. Dummy. No wonder you're not in charge anymore. Let Destro take over.
The people of the world
You gotta do your people a favor. Are you that dumb? Destro, once again, being pimp, and we get some good execution threats. This is the kind of moves that, if Cobra Commander had been doing the whole time, I don't think we would have gotten to 5 episodes. I think it would have been 2 or 3 episodes, and either some people would have been dead, or Joe's would have been we got to take action a little faster because this dude's out of control. Scarlett taking charge. Her, and it's a little condescending. You bet, kid, she says to the Planet of the Apes girl. And here come all the other escaped prisoners who just have mustaches. There's a dude in goggles, just unkempt, wild hair, just weird socks on all these guys. It's awesome. Now, Destro just yelled, take them alive. He wanted them alive. And what's the first thing we do? We get a Bazooka Trooper about to shoot a bazooka at them, which is good because then Scarlett's going to shoot a bazooka at the mass device, but then Destro knocks it off and blasts a hole in the ceiling. Just imagine what would have happened If Scarlett had let that Bazooka Trooper shoot every single person over there, they all would have been dead. So take them alive apparently means hit them with a bazooka. So our girls are back locked up. And now we go back to the pit where they're going to try to figure out what's up with Duke. Where was he held? I'll tell you where he's held. He's held in the Bacta tank from Empire Strikes Back. It's completely the Bacta tank, even down to like the white. Dude, what is Clutch? Clutch is eating an apple. Apparently, Clutch is played by Brad Pitt. Now they show young Duke befriending little young Harry Potter there, and they said growing up in Iowa, but we know he's from St. Louis. I think there's a little misinformation. Or this is one of those situations where they say his birthplace is classified, and yet he is wearing a bright pink unitard when he's doing flips. What's up, Duke? What's up? Don't ask, don't tell. I'm totally down with that. What's up, Duke? So we get flashbacks to his, adventure. Now he says, play it back slowly. Right when the hot chick comes on stage and all the dudes are like, hey, man, what's up? Speak slower, Duke. Speak slower. And they notice that Duke gave his ring to the young lady so they can use the ring to track her, right? Here's the thing. They never thought to look for that ring before. Like, they knew the ring had the special tracking properties. And even if they didn't know that it was with the girl, amnesiac Duke wasn't like, all right, yeah, I'm back, I'm in one piece, but I'm missing my G.I. Joe ring. Where could that have been? I don't know. Maybe I left it on the bus. Let's not bother trying to look at it. So it's a little, it's a little awkward. I feel what that's saying is we're going back to commercials, what we're doing.
will return after these messages. Now back to G.I. Joe.
It makes me think that Duke has CTE. Duke has head trauma and is like a veteran football player that he can't remember anything. So now the Joes just teleported in and they're now going to attack the Cobra base in the craziest spider walkers because Hasbro needs to get the toys involved. But they've already established that Cobra lives on a mountain. But we need to get the Mobat up the mountain. We need to get the Vamps up the mountain. We need to get the laser systems up the mountain. What were those laser systems called? I forget. Oh, there's the Wolverine, the vehicle, not the character, not the X-Man. Duke flying in the jump jetpacks. Like they have to feature. There's the lasers. They have to feature all the lasers, all the weapons. But the only way to do that is to bring them up on winches and pulleys up the sheer side of a mountain, even though technically there is a road right next to it. And also, let me point out, they teleported in there. They couldn't teleport them 15 feet over to the right, and get them up on top of it. It seems awfully awkward. I also want to point this out. The music right now is going to shift right now. Okay, Duke just blasted a skiff full of Cobras. And then the music got super dramatic, which tells you as the viewer that you're supposed to care more about the Cobras than you do about the Joes. Stalker blows some Cobras out of the sky, and one of the very early instances they were in the gliders. They have to land safely in the tree, so we can't show that they crashed, even though the people that were on that weird skiff that got knocked out of the sky, we didn't see them knock out parachutes or anything. Okay, here's the biggest problem. Duke just said, the infantry is on its way up. Bring on the air cover. Okay, now they bring in the Sky Strikers after they've already sent in their ground troops. Not a good military move. If we've learned anything from the wars, this whole thing is backwards because now Ace just blew away the only road in and or out of the place, which I guess traps Cobra there. But if G.I. Joe knew about the road, why don't you take the road in? And why are you sending in your planes after you've sent in your ground troops? It makes no sense at all. Absolutely no sense. It's exciting, but it makes no sense. There's a Vamp that just got checked up. Cobra Commander just sent in these giant snake monsters. And there was a dude in a Joe laser that just got tossed aside like he was confetti. And I'm worried about his health. it's just action-packed. It really is. So let's revisit Scarlett real quick before we get to the end of the episode, because she's worth our time. So in the updated file card from the Devil's Due Battle Files, Shana Hera was raised in Atlanta, Georgia, where her father and 3 brothers were the martial arts instructors. Like them, she was a natural, beginning her martial arts training at age 9 and receiving her first black belt in Taekwondo at 15. Shana joined the army. Shana. I keep saying Shana. It's really Shana, isn't it? Shana joined the army as soon as she was able to, graduated to numerous specialized schools with top honors. Her extensive military credentials later earned her a place on the G.I. Joe team. Let me take a quick second. So Joe's assaulting the base. So Duke busts in, and he finds Scarlett and the other lady all tied up. And it's about to get awkward because old girl, not Scarlett, lip locks on Duke. And Duke says, I'm going to give you flowers, but here you go, Scarlett. Here's your crossbow. With one shot, she completely destroys a Hiss tank. It's so good. And yet, so awkward. So awkward. And then you got Death Rocky. Everyone's escaping. It's just, it's pandemonium. Dogs and cats living together. It's a huge jailbreak. And here goes Destro. Oh, no, it's not. See, I got fooled just like Scarlett did. Get a great shot of Stalker, Snake Eyes, Duke, and Wild Bill busted in on the final, the final bastions, basically the last bunker where Cobra Commander and Destro are hiding out. So now Shana, it was during a training session that she recognized her teammate Snake Eyes as a far superior fighter. She realized that he could easily best her, yet he allowed her to win. I don't know, is that condescending? This intrigued her, and after a mission where Snake Eyes saved her life at the cost of his voice and enduring facial disfigurement, the two began a storied love affair. You hear that? A storied love affair. Destro just turned on the mass device, pointed, quote, at the Earth's core.
That's the general idea.
Cobra Commander says the results are that the Earth will explode, which Destro says that's the general idea. And then he says, so long, I'll see you later. So what is it, Destro? Are you nihilistic and you want to destroy the whole Earth? Or are you like, I'm just getting away? I got to think that he figured it would just be a big enough diversion to keep Joe's attention, the G.I. Joe's attention, while he made his escape. I'm only assuming.
The Cobra Commander.
But Duke's very upset that Cobra Commander didn't get him. But here comes Timber to the rescue, and there goes Cobra Commander, caught by the wolf. He was in disguise, trying to escape, and Gung Ho grabs him. Shades of that great Roadblock and was it Roadblock and Gung Ho? No, Roadblock and Rock and Roll cover. No, Rock and Roll. The cover, you know what I'm talking about. That nice like painted Zek cover where they're hauling Cobra Commander away in the mid-20s of G.I. Joe. Destro escapes, and the Joes have the mass device, and they got to wrap everything up. They're going to use the final remnants. They're going to put the Statue of Liberty back where it belonged, and everything's going to be all right. So Scarlett, she remained a vital member of the Joe team until they disbanded. And remember, the Devil's Due story just used the story that they did disband in 1994 when the first series was scuttled. And basically, when they came back, she and Snake Eyes had a rough relationship, and they worked it out. Now, one of my favorite moments of the original Larry Hama Joe stuff was Scarlett had gotten injured, and Snake Eyes, who's, it's completely tore up and emotionally destroyed, she was basically on her deathbed, and the only word he could whisper out was, Scarlett! Scarlett!
G.I. Joe will return after
It was so great. So even when she's sick, she's amazing. So that's it. The Joes won. They sent the Eiffel Tower back to London, England. Yeah, that's right, London, England, because Breaker doesn't know his geography. So they had to throw it on a boat and ship it back to Paris. I don't even know if that's possible, but either way, it's fantastic. So that's it. That's the first Joe miniseries. We did it. We made it through. Join us next time as we dig into the second G.I. Joe miniseries, which is so great and so awesome. And that's all for now. Remember, now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.